Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is season four, episode number 9 of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. I am your host, Noelle Figueroa. Thank you for tuning in tonight. My guest this evening is fellow poet Godsent, and I'm happy to get this conversation going. Now, for those of you that are not already familiar with this podcast, the P.W.P Sessions, or the Poets for Purpose Sessions podcast, is a podcast that was created where I interview new or established authors of poetry, rappers, or MCs, feature a performance of their work along with an audience Q&A session. I'm your host, Noelle Figueroa, aka The Anointed Pen. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I'm the creator of the PWP Sessions podcast. Tonight's guest is Godsent, and this is his bio. Godsent is a Nigerian-American entrepreneur, performer, and writer now based in Newark, New Jersey. He holds a business administration degree from New Jersey City University and an MBA from Cambridge's New England Institute of Business. He's the founder of Cry Out Cave, New Jersey's first performing arts gallery, established in 2008, and the Heart Ballroom, a celebration venue in Newark, New Jersey, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, established in 2018. Additionally, he serves as the Director of Finance and Grants for Newark Arts, helping drive the arts engine forward. A father of 3 girls, he's passionate about using his gifts to make the world a better and happier place. Known by many as Godsent, he truly embraces his purpose and doesn't take a moment, opportunity, or breath for granted. In his own words, poetry is my release. It sets me free. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is Godsent. Peace, bro. How you doing tonight, man?
What's going on? What's going on, bro? Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for coming through, bro. So, who is Godsent? Like, how would you describe yourself or define yourself?
Godsend is, well, I'm gonna make it as simple as Mayo is a lot more than Godsend, but if we're focusing on Godsend, Godsend is my alias, my poetry. Is this individual that's really passionate about poetry, spoken word. Found poetry at a young age, actually about in high school. When he found poetry, and this was his form of release. I was going back and forth from hip hop before I actually settled down with spoken word. I used to rap actually on my first project album that I released. It was a lot of music, you can kind of hear. It was like 6 tracks of songs and 6 tracks of poems. Like, you could kind of,
Right.
if you look behind it, you could kind of see that battle. But more importantly, I'm really just somebody that's passionate really about just using my work so enlightened to help people grow a little bit. My work is not a usual work. I have a strong influence, grew up in church and everything like that. So I don't consider myself a preaching poet, but I like to definitely like be the difference in the room. When I see an issue that I feel like needs to be addressed within our community, I tend to like lean to write about it in my work. When I see an issue in my personal life, which is what most of my poems really is, that I'm like, man, I need to do better in this. I need to adjust. So, it's really like kind of like my the things that keeps me grounded. Sometimes I go back to my poems. I'm like, man, okay, get it together, bro. You know. So that's I'm just a servant, if anything, that just desires to use my gift to see the world become really a better place.
Right, right. That's what's up. Now your given name is Mayoa. What does your name mean?
It means God sent joy, or God has brought joy. So God
Uh,
sent
uh,
is directly the funny thing about that is the fact that when I was young, I definitely did not make that connection because the direct meaning of my name is God has brought joy here. However, I've always wanted, because kind of like a stubborn. I grew up even when I was young. I knew I was a stubborn Christian, so I wasn't always like I was in church, but wasn't always on the right path. So
Right.
I'm like, you know what? Whatever name I choose, I want to be there to be something that doesn't allow me to like let go of God. That doesn't make it easy for me to like just kind of put God behind me. So, I went through a couple of other names. I went through, I was like, be true, just because I want to be a truth sayer, a truth speaker or whatever.
Right.
And I don't know what would the B stand for. It's just like, I
Right.
got no connection to the B, like, because it was
Right.
supposed to be the letter B. But later on, I somehow just came up with Godsent. And it wasn't until like, I think a year after that, I was like, my name is God has brought joy here. It means God sent joy. I'm like, whoa.
And it
Like,
just clicked, right? It just clicked in that moment.
right. So, like, most people think I just did it on purpose. Like, okay, my name God sent, so I'm gonna name myself God sent. I literally didn't even like have any idea what I was doing at the time. Just being young and
Right.
just trying to be creative.
Right. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Well, it's definitely a name that stands out, right? And like, and when you started getting into poetry, like what was it about poetry that compelled you to start, writing and performing it for yourself?
Um, I think the first time that I realized that there was something different about my writing was in eighth grade,
Mhm.
when, of course, I entered into the MLK competition and ended up winning second place.
Mhm.
Um, the international, I don't even know who did the MLK competition. I just know the teacher. Literally, our teacher's like, oh, you guys are going to enter into this and they're going to choose a winner. And that's all I remember
Right.
that, and I'm like, oh snap, I'm good at this. Like, and then of course going further on into high school, and then when we got into emotions in high school, then it was this shorty I was very quiet. I wanted to holler at, and the best thing I knew was to write to her. So,
Right.
the ladies kind of kept me more motivated in writing. And then when I became more, serious about my walk with God, I think that was like the passion where that came from. So how I express myself to God, I express myself about God, became something I did poetically. And plus I hung out with a bunch of church folks. We just be there with beats, just spitting over it and stuff like that. And
Right.
so I was always writing. Writing was always something that's just part of me. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Some people played around with it, but for me, it was always something. And I always say poetry is my release because people don't understand that before poetry, I was this individual that pretty much just kind of kept to myself. I didn't speak much. I was quiet, and everything like that. So it was poetry is my release. Like it really opened up my voice, really. And then once I got that voice, I gave me the opportunity to speak into to issues in our community and things of that nature. Yeah.
Right. Right. Now, when you first started writing, what were the first subjects that you started getting into?
Ladies, of course. Okay. Ladies were, like I said, ladies were my first few poems were literally like I was just trying to bag this one girl. Okay, I was in Nigeria at the time in high school.
Right.
So it's just trying to bag this shorty, and the big question everybody always asks is, so did you bag her? I was like, well, that's a very interesting question. Anybody that knows, I was in boarding school in Nigeria. It
Mhm.
is against the rules for you to be in a relationship, actually. I
Right.
actually got in trouble and got flogged for being named as one of the people that was in relationship. So
Right.
uh, this girl, me and her became best friends. We didn't date until after high school.
Right.
But because we were best friends, people still pegged us for being in a relationship. She was more careful. I like to take more risks. But yes, I did for
Mhm.
the moment I was able to, get the girl.
Right. Right. And was it in those early stages, what were the other subjects you started writing about, or was that the only thing for a period of time?
Well, it was that, and then the other thing was really just, the other part was God. So, pretty much
Okay.
the other aspect of my life was really just writing to God, writing about God, writing about my relationship, my walk with God. So, and then I think later on, I became really passionate about community, about just us as Black folk, pretty much, and how much growth that we need, and how we need to treat each other better, things of that nature. And later on, that became a passion of my writing angle.
Right,
To use
right.
my voice, yeah. So, you know.
Now, when you as you progress with your writing, you as you continually develop your writing, who or what would you give credit to helping you to build yourself up as a writer and a poet?
I would say, I would put that to, I was challenged by many. I wouldn't say one individual person,
Mhm.
but somebody that definitely did sit. He's not on the poetry scene anymore like that. His name was Jay Skills. Jamal J. Skills was one of the people, like, went to NJCU together. And I remember him kind of just walking me through, because he was more heavy in the slam world. And
Right,
when you're young in college, everybody want to slam.
right.
Okay. So, although I was heavily gospel influenced, he convinced me that I could still slam. And I ended up writing a couple of slam pieces and slamming. I even had a piece that was like, I don't write for slams. I really don't write for slams, but still want to make sure every single time that I slam in your face like a slap, something like that. It was just like influenced by that, but he had a heavily influence on me because he was really a phenomenal writer, really talented. Um, and later on, I think just by the community, I think I'm really just influenced by Rob Hilton, his work in the community. As a writer, I've always loved how he represented himself as a Jamaican. I remember one of the first pieces I heard from him was talking about the Jamaican booty scratcher. And I guess being a fellow immigrant, I connected immediately with that, the story, things of that nature. Yeah, so but it's not like a single. I think I'm influenced by so many people's writing. I'm a fan of poetry, and I'm a fan of poets. And when I hear people perform, I like to just sit there and be like, and just kind of take it in. And sometimes that motivates or challenges my writing.
Right, right. And who do you consider to be your poetic inspirations?
I mean, as expected, it will be the classics, the olds, the Langstons, what's the name? It's crazy. One of the pieces, Carol, Carol something. She wrote a poem that says, "When I say I'm a Christian." That poem actually had a Carol Whittaker. I can't her last name. Um, it's not the people. I think their poem is specific poems that really kind of like stuck with me, because
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that I follow every single one of their work, but I think sometimes when I do look into people, I look into their work, and I usually find work that usually just sticks with me and say, "Oh my goodness, like I want to definitely keep this. This is an inspiration right here."
Right. Now, have you written any books yet, or do you plan on writing any books?
I've written like in my head 3 books. But yeah, it's funny because I just got somewhat scolded by one of my friends who's a DJ the other day, and say like, "Man, we waiting for that book. What's going on?" It's funny because I've taught workshops on how to publish books. I've hosted workshops at the Cave. I've helped one of my youngest sister publish her book when she was 16, 17. It's just something that I was telling them. I was like, when you take on such a challenge, like a project called a Cry Out Cave, it becomes very, very challenging. Like, it has a lot of effect on your own work.
Mhm.
Because you're talking about having overhead and stuff like that, and making sure you have programming going. It takes so much of your time that there's going to be some aspects of your artistry that's going to be affected by it. And for me, one of the that was affected was me actually sitting down to publish the book properly.
Right.
I can tell you how many times I've actually started to format work on a book, and just never finished it. Always something pulling me away, but it's coming. So the book, Poetry is my release, is supposed to be my first book, before I turn into really a brand, my brand. And then I have Love Language. Um, so there's the books are ready. It's just a matter of me sitting down and just, completing them.
Right, right. No, I feel you on that because I got my own projects that are like in suspended animation at the moment. So I totally get that completely, completely. But I'm happy that you got those projects in motion, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them when they're released. Those that's an awesome thing, bro. But I also right now I also want to get into, your your work as a host and a venue curator. Congratulations to you on, the Cry Out Cave and the Heart Ballroom in Newark and also in Philadelphia, correct? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's start out with the Cry Out Cave. Like, what was your motivation for wanting to start the Cry Out Cave?
Um, it's very simple. Well, it's simple, but it's not simple. It was I said this at a event recently. I said the Cry Out Cave was motivated by me consistently going to the New Eurekan and running into the same people that we run around in Newark together. And we were all there because there was nowhere for us to run to here.
Right,
Um, so, I came to a place where I'm like, listen, okay, what is it going to take for us to make this happen here? And I heard a lot of things, I listened to the people. They're like, yeah, man, that would never survive here. We don't have enough togetherness. We don't have this, we don't have that. I'm like, okay, well, if we know what the issue is, can we solve those issues? Can we, you know? And I'm like, listen, we don't have enough money. I'm like, listen, I'm willing to, I have a business background. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm willing to like put myself on the line to, take that risk and say, listen, let's do this for the community. And I'll keep it consistent for as long as God allows me to.
right,
And if the people continue to support it, then it'll continue to be around.
right,
Because it's the Cry Out Cave is not for me, it's never for me, and I've never made a dollar. And I said this recently, somebody said I shouldn't do it. I was like, man, I was going to do a screenshot to really show people how many times that they'll see transfers from my account to the Cry Out Cave, because my vision is really just to help it. So, and I'm not saying the Cry Out Cave doesn't do well. It has its months where it does well and pays its bills,
right,
and then it has its months where it struggle, but my goal is to keep it consistent at all costs. So even if I got to take money out of my pocket to keep it going,
right.
um, it's needed. And I really just hope that we can continue to keep it going. My goal is not just to open it for me, it's for the community, and it can continue staying open beyond me.
Definitely, definitely. And how long has it been around?
Cryout Cave is since 2018. We officially opened in 2018 January. So 6 years.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. And what has the growth been like from the time you started Crowd Cave until present day? Like how have you what how has the progression been for you? Like what have you noticed between the beginning and now?
Well, I think like anything that you do when you start it, there's so much excitement built around it. The challenge is not in starting, the challenge is keeping it going.
Right.
People, have like attention deficit.
Mhm.
And, before you know it, um, I think when I started it started strong, and it kept going strong. I still consider us pretty strong now, because when we look at it, we started in a space that cost us $900 to maintain. Now we're in a space that cost us probably about 25, 3,000 a month to maintain.
Right.
So, if I'm looking at the books, we're actually in a much more solid space, that we are than we were when we started. However, there's still a lot of growth for us. There's still a lot of challenges just to keep the programming going, just to make sure that we have a consistent team, just to make sure that people feel like this is a space for them and not Godsent space.
Right. Right. Do you feel there's like a certain challenge with being both the host and a poet, or do you feel like it doesn't make a difference that it's just a matter of it's just who you are and what you desire to do?
I think the pro the pro to the space is the fact that I am a poet, baby. The pro is the fact that I am a host, and give me a second, please.
Uh-huh.
Go to Antelope. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's my youngest. My 4-year-old.
Mhm.
All right. But um, I felt like the pro in it is the fact that I am a poet, and because I'm an artist, a lot of people feel comfortable and confident enough because I'm one of them to approach us when it comes to like programming and things of that nature.
Right.
I feel like that's always been the pro for the space. I think the the same thing that I consider a pro is also a con, in the fact that um, the business side of things, right? People expect it to be a lot more laid back and, pretty much to give a lot more room and to not be sold, because in order for us to make sure every partnership that we establish at the Cryout Cave is successful, there's certain aspects to it, because the way that we run, we don't charge people, so we take risk on their ideas.
All right.
Well, we have an option where you can actually rent out the cryout cave and just pay for the space, which we don't get involved in.
Mhm.
But most people, we form partnerships with their vision, their idea. So when I'm taking 100% risk, or equal risk with the partners, we definitely have to put some guidelines in place. And I think sometimes people don't understand, why those, like, they think you acting different, acting funny.
Right.
There's sometimes that I've had to explain to people, like, listen, this is how we have to maintain this space. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, if this event is not successful, you got your day job. You're gonna go back to your day job and you good. You're like, I ain't had to lose nothing out of my pocket, but the Cry Out Cave lost a day that it could have rented to somebody else and
Right.
gotten full income. And
Right.
sometimes people don't understand that concept,
Right.
and so that's really what it is. And then sometimes over the years, I have to learn that sometimes I just have to gracefully tell some people no.
Right.
Like, I don't think we can partake in this because we don't, and sometimes it can be painful, which later on I found a better way of doing it, whereby we're like, okay, I don't mind taking one event risk or two event risk on people, and
Mhm.
I calculate when we're going to take that risk, because you don't know who's going to be successful and who's not.
Right.
you know Sometimes you can tell, and once we don't see growth in two events, we have to definitely part ways.
Right.
Like, even if it's a minimal growth in two events. So, a lot of people have a lot of visions, ideas. Sometimes people sit in the seats and think they can do that, and they don't know how much goes into that.
Right. Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be fair, but also at the end of the day, you're still running a business. So it's a matter of finding that balance on the regular.
And you mentioned the hot ballroom. The cons of having a place like the hot ballroom, in addition, is people think you're rich. Okay.
Right.
So, I'm like, yeah, I work hard every month to make sure that the bills over there and over here paid. But listen, if you see a rich man, they move a lot differently than I do, right?
Right.
You- so, but people think like, oh man, that I could just take the loss, Godsent got this or whatever. And I can sometimes when I'm working with certain people, I could see that attitude. I literally had a young lady tell me, oh man, you need some help at the cryout cave. I'm sure you can afford it. And I'm like, you don't know my pockets. Like, you don't know how much a cryout cave brings in. You
Right.
don't know what it is. And I'm like, that's interesting. Well, thank you. I'm glad that I don't look like what I'm going through. I'm glad that I don't look like the
Right.
struggle that it takes to maintain here. But that's not the case.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. And speaking of the Heart Ballroom, right? By the way, congratulations on that. You got a location in Newark, right? And then also in Philadelphia, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
What inspired you to start the Heart Ballroom?
Um, a source of income.
Hmm.
So
Right.
so I mean, that's as real as I can keep it.
Hmm.
The hot ballroom, actually, I found it through the Cryout Cave. Long story short, I back in the day, one of the spaces that I used to like establish to host my poetry show um was called Majesty Lofts, downtown 186 West Market Street, something like that. It was like a third floor space.
Right.
And I had my show consistent, and the owner recognized. She said, "You're the one of the few people that I see that you keep your shows consistent. You have a good number of people that come to your shows. Again, because she understood business. She was like, listen, I'm looking to open up this bigger space up in Montclair." I was like, "What, Montclair? I go to church in Montclair. That's home." You
Hmm.
know, it was like, would you like to be a partner of the event? Of their space, event space. I said, okay, what we looking like in terms of money?
Right.
She told me how much it requires so for me to be a part of it. I was like, yeah, I don't have that. I was like, but I can get you this amount in the next 2 weeks. I'm telling you, for 2 weeks, I did not spend any money, took my whole paycheck. For 2 weeks, I took my whole paycheck and handed it to this lady so I could be a 15% owner of the Majesty Loft, which they opened in Montclair, which
Wow.
was a 2,500 square foot space. I became minority owner, and we had a third member who they split 50% amongst each other. And I was the smaller percentage owner. Kathy Payne was her name. Kathy, after a few years, got married and wanted to leave the business. So she put her share of the business up for sale
Right.
for whichever one of the two partners. And guess what? Godsent was doing much better now. And because I only had one day on the calendar, so I used one Friday, one Saturday. So I used the Friday for my shows, and Saturday I would rent it out to people and make money and then profit,
Right. That's
you
what's
know?
up.
And so at the end of the day, I ended up buying her share of the business.
Mhm.
So I became my majority owner now,
Right.
which the other partner actually hated.
Wow.
Yeah, so I bought her percentage with my 15%, so I became majority owner. So now I made all the decisions of the space.
Right.
We only had about a year left on the lease when at that time when that happened. After that, between the issues between that the partner was giving me, I ended up having to, and then the landlord passed away, God bless his soul, and sold the building to his son, who was a lot more greedy. There was just all this drama. So I had to close down Majesty Loft with the concept that I was gonna bring back my vision, which is called the Heart Ballroom. And that's the space. That's how I got into it. So me looking for spaces brought me into this business, and is the Heart Ballroom is something that I opened in Newark, New Jersey, was flourishing, was doing well. I'm like, hey, look, let me double up on this, since this is
Right.
doing well. So I would look for opportunities to double up on it, which is I wanted to open one locally, but then I ended up finding myself in Philly because I'm like, why not widen my the building out there it was just a perfect situation, opportunity, and I'm like, let me take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's an awesome accomplishment because not many poets that I know of have moved in the way that you have in terms of setting up instead of in terms of hosting your own open mic in your own space and then opening up additional spaces to rent out. Those are power moves right there. And smart
Appreciate
moves
that.
too because you're not just thinking about the now, you're also planning for your future, which is smart.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. I mean,
definitely
that's
smart moves, and congratulations on that because those all that is an awesome accomplishment. No, without
Thank you.
question.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I think back to it, and I'm like, I was so scared to even get it in the beginning. So but I thank God for how far He's been able to help me carry it up until this moment.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Now let's talk about representation because I'm sure you heard the word representation thrown around in circles for various different reasons. Now, when it comes to you as a poet, you as an event host, event space owner, how important is it to you to make sure that you're representing yourself in your totality, in terms of who you are as a man, as a black man, in terms of, where you come from, education, things of that nature, all of the things that make you who you are. How important is it to make sure that you're representing yourself in your totality?
Um, 150%.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I mean representation is very important. And I thought about it in multiple ways. And number one, being true to who you are. And uh because it helps you actually like deal with surround you with people that's really there for you rather than people that's there for what you are for,
Mhm.
right? It helps you decipher pretty, and then you just know, because when people are for something, when you're not representing yourself pretty well, people are going to stick around because of what they think you are.
Right.
And listen, I've had to deal with that on a serious, like I went through like a serious purging in my life of, to use the word purge sounds so
Yeah,
dramatic,
I feel you though.
but I did go through like a season of some serious purging where I looked around and I found myself with almost nobody um, because of the fact that, like, pretty much I wasn't, um, people weren't around for, I started realizing people weren't around for me.
Right.
But I was surrounding myself with people that were around because of what I gave them access to or what that access represented. So being true to your character, true to yourself, and surrounding yourself with some true people will go far, far along in life beyond poetry, beyond anything. Because at the end of the day, we do this poetry thing, but it's really about the life that we live beyond that.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
When you can't spit no more, what do you have? Who do you have?
Exactly, exactly. It's a either I can attest to that because it's like either you're superficial or you have substance, and it's only what has substance is what's gonna last.
Right, right. My apologies if I'm moving my screen, but
No
the
worries.
phone that I'm using needs to be plugged in. I should have just stuck to the laptop with a blurry view.
No worries, no worries. Yeah, but I could also attest to the purging too, because people sometimes it takes circumstances to to reveal who people really are. And in those moments, like you said, you got to do a purging because whoever's not for you got to go. Whoever's
Yep,
not for you is only gonna hinder the purpose that God has for you, you know?
yep. And I think the it's I'm in I'm so glad about the space that I'm in right now because learned the value of I rather have two people in my corner that I know are definitely like for me or ride or die for me
Right.
than have like a whole bunch of people that pretty much just not feeling me, like on
Exactly.
the real, because when things get crazy, they're not anywhere to be found.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, so I mean, that's the what's why it's important for us to just be real. And again, I always say that in this community, like yeah, we all get come in a place. We had an open mic. Everybody's smiling because that's what's expected in that space, but you don't really know who's who.
Right.
you know. And especially where I sit, and this is not like in like a cocky situation, right? There are, I mean, I found out recently, like, God literally revealed to me, like, there are people that literally wants my position. They want, and there's nothing wrong with people wanting to open up their own space and things of that nature.
Right.
I've had people literally just treat me based on the fact that they want to be where I'm at. And I'm just like, listen, y'all could have it. Like, y'all could have it. It takes a lot to actually make this happen. As I'm talking to you, like I'm listening to my kids upstairs, just making sure because if I wasn't on live right now, they should be in bed,
Right.
but they're
Right.
taking advantage of that. They're gonna take
Right.
advantage of that. But they're on spring break, so they get a little pass today.
Right. That's cool, man. No, no doubt, no doubt. It's all good. It's all good. And speaking of God, like you said, God reveals to you certain things and tells you how to move, how to move and navigate, when dealing with, people that you gotta, move out of your space and whatnot. How has God helped you with your challenges?
Um, I feel like it's really truly trusting him and leaning on him. I think many times we tend to like just want to like handle situations ourselves. Um, I think for me, it's really just kind of sometimes you just have to let him really take control. And let things kind of play out. Because we want to control things on our own. We want to, we just like it's natural for me to want to control things.
Right.
Um, but at the end of the day, like I'm just like, you know what? He's brought me does this far. So and is helped me in a way that it helps me remain calm even through the storms. When I talked about people not being able to tell how crazy it is to like run things behind the scenes, um, it's part of what is he's my calming storm. Is my calm in the storm, better yet. It helps me not go crazy with all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And so I have it gives me enough energy to keep going.
That's what's up. That's what's
What's the line? Gotta testify just because I'm still alive, despite the fact that most of my life I probably lived a lie. I gotta testify because every morning I wake is another problem, another issue, another fight. But I no longer worry about those things that are beyond me, knowing I've got the victory in Him who's beyond it all. Said He never leave nor forsake me, and just because I know He got me, I gotta testify.
yes, yes, yes.
So, pretty much that line sums it up. Like I don't worry about things that are beyond me, knowing I've got the victory in Him who is beyond it all.
Mhm.
So like I'm just so relaxed, calm, and because of all of that, I'm like, okay, I don't know. This one of those things. I can't do nothing. It don't matter how many times I jump, I scream, I flutter. Like it ain't gonna change nothing.
Mhm.
So sometimes all you can do is trust God for an outcome that is in your favor, even if it may not seem like it's in your favor in the moment.
That's facts. That's facts. Not easy to do, but it's definitely necessary at the end of the day, without question. That's what's up. So at this time, bro, we're gonna transition to the next part because at this time, ladies and gentlemen, Godsent will now take the mic. So at this time, bro, you have space to do your thing. You don't have to do 5 poems, but you do have time to do up to 5 if you want to give our audience an idea of your your poetic styles and whatnot. So at this time, the floor is yours.
First of all, I just want to say what's up to. I was trying to see the participant. I see one of my other family, my friends, was in here. And he stepped out. Actually, he's the founder of the Lip Fest, Lagos International Poetry Festival. The other gentleman that was in here earlier looks like he stepped out, so I want to shout him out. But then shout out to Mark, who's also here with us right now,
Yeah.
hanging out with us.
All
So
right.
appreciate you joining us.
That's what's up.
Um, let's start where it all started. Let's start where it all started. It all started with January 18, 1986. A child was born in a country called Nigeria, located on the eastern side of West Africa. The child's parents looked down at the little boy, and deep inside felt fireworks of joy. So together, daddy and mommy named him Olu Mayowa, meaning God brought joy, indicating that God sent joy. So I kept the God sent parts of myself and decided to give away to the joy to those who've never experienced God. Blessed with slick similes and metaphors, my lips batter with his own words every time it opens up. Life and death lies within the tongue, so every time I spit, I have to swallow death. Ah, hold on. This is where it all started. I'm gonna take it back. I know you said I don't gotta do 5 pieces. I'm gonna get through this one. It's the first time I ever spit this poem sitting down. But I got to sit down because of the phone situation right now. A child was born in a country called Nigeria, located on the eastern side of West Africa. The child's parents looked down at the little boy and deep inside felt fireworks of joy. So together, daddy and mommy named him Olu Mayawa, meaning God sent brought joy, indicating that God sent joy. So I kept the God sent part to myself and decided to give away the joy to those who've never experienced God. Blessed with slick similes and metaphors, my lips batter with his own words every time it opens up. Life and death lies within the tongue, so I have to swallow death every time before I speak, just so I can spit life. Digest darkness, dip within me to a place where it becomes waste, just so my heart can shine lights. Stab my past with prayers every morning I wake, so I would never ever want to go back. Never say never, but how can I ever move forward unless I never ever think of sliding backwards? I'm not Michael Jackson, so I don't moonwalk. I believe only in God, but it don't make things easy. My life is just as hard as yours, just because the enemy don't want me breathing. So even though I go hard, sometimes I get weak. Don't feel like turning the other cheeks as he keeps on swinging, and it hits me harder just because I'm part of God's chosen. But I can't give up now. Gotta stay holding, protecting those coming behind me. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. I have to scream this to myself repeatedly, as if I was in some type of challenge destiny therapy, just so I can keep on moving. Dim memories of happy times in my mother's womb keeps me smiling. Listening to the rhythm of her heartbeat every time she's around me keeps me dancing. This is my life story. My name is Godsent, and I'm not just another poet. I'm more like a living test. See, God wanted me to be the best I can be, so he never left me. Kept me in the lab like a rat and kept experimenting. No matter how many times I failed, he kept challenging me. I am a living testimony. I am a living testimony. I am God sent. I am God sent, and I cannot be defined, not within words that exist within your reach. I am like God to your unborn thoughts. My ways are way above yours. I have no limits. Better yet, I just reach beyond limits placed on men, or should I say sons, since your imagination still find it hard to travel beyond the sandbox. It's like your brains has been replaced with sand and rocks, because you're still trying to dig deep through your thoughts, which remain stiff like hard rock, trying to find the lust world, while in the possession of my tongues exist lust words. I feed on wisdom, found them while digging through God's thoughts in search for answers to your questions. Questions that probably would never be answered only because you have yet to learn to appreciate your blues clues, but still in search of national treasure. Treasures worth measured only by level of pleasure. So I guess by your standards, I don't measure, because I aim to please without the need to unzip my jeans. I unzip lips. Free word from afraid lungs. Throw joy at sorrows. Paint better tomorrows. Never let the weather outside affect the inside. I always smile bright, because I've learned to carry a piece of the sun in my insights. I am God sent. Not. I'm gonna stop there. What's going on, y'all? So that's a poem. I started with living testimony, and then I jumped into a poem called "I Am God Sent." There's some old pieces, and then the next thing that I am going to share with you guys is, I have so many selections there, so many. I want to share stuff that you guys probably don't hear all the time. So I'm not going to touch on statistics, because I'm always sharing that, or if I never. Um, but I'll share this. I woke up this morning, y'all. I woke up this morning, regardless of yesterday. I woke up this morning. So why won't I praise God with more than my tongues? Why won't I spit words to exalt the name that's above all? Why won't I walk through danger with an indescribable swag like the sun? Why won't I shine brighter than the sun when I have the Father, the Son in my corner? See, the fight through life is more fun when you can run the race knowing you already won. Being victorious runs in the blood of the Son of God. And only through the blood can I cry out words till Jericho walls fall. So I always shouts, hallelujah, whether winter, summer, spring, or fall. Praising God is like a full-time job, so I would never stop, would never shut up. Why plead the fifth when I can plead the blood? Why settle for so little when I can have so much more? And he's more than enough. Doesn't need you or me to raise him up. He's already on top like boss, but still I lift him up, because through my praises the heavens open up and showers me so fresh and so clean. Now my skin carries a sense of blessings, and just like my Mickey D's, I'm loving it. See, I need you to see that praising God is so exciting, like meeting that special person for the first time, so full of surprises. Jaws of the heart dropped and the eyes can't stop smiling. Because when I think of the goodness of the Lord and how he kept me, my soul cries out, and my flesh has no choice but to follow up and while out. And some think I'm a little crazy when I'm spitting. What they don't know is praising is another way of shaking them demons out. So how we shout hallelujah, just because it deserves all the glory. Hallelujah. because he deserves all the praise. Hallelujah, because he turned my sad story into a testimony. Hallelujah, just because he is God. All right. And then I will share Cry Out. So this I'm gonna do a intro for it and then go into Cry Out, the poem Cry Out. How? How am I supposed to stand strong when everything around me seems to be going wrong? Tell me how. How do I build up my faith? How do I build up my faith to hold on. How? How do I stand strong? It's crazy. I always know this is one of my go-to poems that I love to do. I just did this last week. I'm struggling with it now. How do I stand strong when everything around me seems to be going wrong? Tell me how. How do I build up my faith muscles to smile when pain deep down inside keep breaking me down like enzymes? Thank you, Mark. How do I peace be still in the midst of all this chaos? I stare at myself in the mirror for hours, battling myself, trying to convince myself that everything is going to be okay, but self finds it hard to believe, just like bills keep piling up like thoughts in my box, finding it hard to leave. Tomorrow is not promised, but today's situation is making it hard to breathe. And I want to see past this present situation, but there's too much temptations ready to cling on to my eyeballs, ready to fog up my vision. So most of the times I rather remain blind, blind to the visions of this world, blind to the imitations, blind to all the Satan's illusions. I'm trying to find the face of God. And since God is love and love is blind, since God is love and love is blind, I close my eyes in search of light. I need a way out. So up my mouth and cry out. I cry out for others like me who are still pressing their way through different tests and trials, hoping and praying it will one day turn out to be their testimony. Those that feel left out because they keep it real. See, the world has become accustomed to phonies because even the phonies have somehow come to believe that they're real. I know this sounds a little crazy. Well, welcome to the world that we live in. I cry out and I don't want to sound like another sad story, but how can I write happy poems when you are my main inspiration? I cry out for your freedom and salvation. These words are like food to feed your malnutrition. Taste and see, it's so full of nutrition. Nutrition that can create enough contact in your cerebellum to give you better visions. So next time you look into the mirror, you can see that you are not a mistake. Even if all your mom and dad shared was a big bang, you are still part of the master's plan, a beautiful and wonderfully made work of art, a piece of the masterpiece. You can find masterpieces even when it seems as if you're in pieces. I need you to listen as I cry out because this is the only way I know to get your attention. Scream out my lungs, hoping that the boom in my box will supersede that loud music in your iPod. And every time I pause, it's to hear whether your heart rate is returned back to normal because my inside can know my whole is tears. I cry out to let you know that someone cares. They say beauty. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Well, I'm trying to teach you to be the holder because you're beautiful. No matter what sex, size, shape, creed, or color, as long as you look like you. I cry out for you. I cry this tears so you won't have to. Think I'm gonna let it wrap it up on that.
Yes, powerful material, man. Powerful material, man. That's what's up. On point
Thank
poetry,
you,
bro.
brother.
On point, without question. Thank you, bro. At this time, we're gonna do a brief Q&A but before we close out. And let's see, Mark, did you have a question or a comment to give to Godsent?
Oh, no question, but just a comment, man. Appreciate everything that you do to Cry Out Cave. Just hearing your story though about I didn't know about you had part ownership in that spot up in Montclair, man. So I know you got something down in Philly. But no, that's all inspirational stuff, man. Keep grinding, keep doing your thing, man. You know. That's all I want to say, man. You too, brother. You know what I mean? You too. You know, you're doing a great job with these podcasts and everything. So that's all I got, man. You know, I got to cut out, man. I got to get ready to get down for work.
All right, no worries, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
you,
you coming
man.
through.
Man. No
Stopping by,
worries,
man.
man. No worries, man. Love y'all both, man. Keep grinding, all right?
If
Thanks, man.
if
Peace,
I
man.
could
Thank
say
you.
something, man, I'll tell you where my heart is at. Man, I think since Mark is here, before Mark jump off,
Mhm.
we had a little bit of conversation about this earlier. Um, is the big question that I ask myself is how do we do better for platforms that we already have, people that's doing the work. Pretty much you've been going with this the sixth episode of P.W.P, right? And my thing is we have so many people that is part of this poetry community that are grinding to kind of create opportunities for us as artists, but because I think we're not together, like I said in my DM, we're
Mhm.
more neighbors not together.
Right.
Like there should be more support for what you are doing here,
Mhm.
right? And what's on my heart is what God has put on my heart. I'm not okay with us just doing it for, like just for the sake of doing it.
Right.
Like, my prayer is that we're able to grow and do this on a bigger scene. Like, even if it's not for us, for let's make it better for the generations behind us, for
Right.
those coming after us, right? It shouldn't be just about us. Like, let's build the blueprint so that they won't have to go through, the challenges. Like you already get going through the challenges, and how do we band together to build something bigger, stronger, so that like by the time you're on episode 10, you got 50 participants in here, and it's like actually more into it. I mean, and I'll be honest, as the owner of the Cry Out Cave, I'm like, how can I do much better work individually to make sure that if I'm featuring here, I'm being a blessing to your movement as well, and carrying some of that following, that crowd that we have there here with us. And that is where, and I feel like that the other question about why I established the Cry Out Cave is like I want us really to find ways to like work together. It's supposed to be a space that bring artists together so we can work together to build bigger. So Mark, just to answer some of the conversations that we were having earlier, like, you said it's one poet at a time. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like our ancestors said that. Like our generations, they passed that down to us one at a time. No, I'm finna like if we were to really work together, we can get 100 at a time.
For
And
sure.
that's where my mind is at. That's where I'm like driving towards. That's where I'm like, okay, yes, I know that Godsent can reach one at a time. Noel can reach one at a time. Mark can reach one at a time. And there was a reading that I saw or something about how when three people are in a place, right? Individually, I have my 4-year-old demanding that I put on her nightgown right now. Hey, hold on, baby. You can't come on camera, okay? We can't be shown. Somebody said this while we're in Atlantic City. We can't be showing your possibilities to the world, okay? Uh, okay. Daddy duties. All right, baby. Love you. So that's really where my hunger is at. Mark, you wanted to say something. I'm sorry.
No, you good. No, but yeah, you're right. Like it starts that one, and as you just said, three of us tap one, that's six, right? And that was six tap one. Now you got 12. Then
It's
you
not
get hit
even
that.
that. Based on those studies, three can actually bring in 20. I don't know
Sure.
how they did the math. It's something about the power of working together. It doesn't the individually we can reach one based on that study, but three people somehow because they're together are able to reach 3 times what each individual is able to do.
Right. I can get with that. Yeah, sure. I can get with that.
And so I'm like, I know that this is your vision, Noel. And, and my question that I want to start asking and the conversation I want to start having with people is that how do we band together or to actually establish something bigger for Jersey? Because right now, yes, Cry Out Cave has scratched the surface and we've done a little bit in terms of improving, but we're still very much far behind because some of our most talented poets still feel like going to the city. Some of our poets still feel like they need to like be in Philly. I know people that spend all their time in Philly just
Yeah.
because they is like this. I'm like, y'all drive an hour and a half, but y'all don't come to enough shows in Jersey. So, and it's because there's not enough togetherness in Jersey, and Philly has found a way. People talk about voices in power. I have direct contacts with them, and I celebrated their 14th anniversary with them just recently, right? And when they brought up how many people, poets, that it took for them to be able to establish just the going, it was about 20 people that was up there on stage. So we all see the results, of like them getting this massive crowd, being able to keep shows going and stuff like that. But the key behind it is, like it's not Godsent running the Cry Out Cave by himself or with a team of 3, 4 people. We got to be able to come together in order for us to build bigger. And that's going to be my message from here on and everywhere that I'm giving a mic to speak, and to whoever is willing to listen, to whoever wants to hear, and to whoever wants to sit down and say, okay, how do we do this? Godsend don't have all the answers. Okay. I'm not coming here with an answer, but I feel like if we converse enough, if we talk with each other enough, we can okay, we have a podcast hangar with P.W.P. Now let's make sure that we are present and make ourselves available to be present so that there's something, because people, when it comes to audiences, they want to go where it's popping. Don't nobody want to go in the room and just like, be somewhere where it's like 3, 4 people. People want to be at the Cry Out Cave on the nights where it's like filled up.
Right.
And that's just general commercial. So let's have more conversations around that. Let's have more conversations about, say, how do we build together?
I'm down with that, bro. Absolutely. You know what I mean? As me personally, I would like to put my first open mic feature type deal, together. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I would love to team up, with you or up and sit down and let's see, like you said, in your vision to grow this, to work together, to come together and make this bigger, for everybody, So yeah, absolutely. You would mention Montclair. I was thinking about you know the Vanguard Theater in Montclair?
That was my space.
That was yours? Upstairs?
Before it became the Vanguard Theater, that's where the place where I had the hot ballroom operating on the second floor of
Oh
180
yeah.
Bloomfield Avenue.
Okay, because I went there.
It was my space
A couple months ago.
before
That's a nice
Vanguard
spot.
Theater. They opened before that was where I had my first banquet hall.
Yeah, that's a nice spot up there.
Yeah, it's a decent space. They put some more work into it, but I was the one that with my team revitalized that space. It was just dust carpet, and we literally used our own labor and to
Wow.
bring that space back to life.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, but when I was there, I liked about it. It had nice little tables, tables for 2 and 4. You know what I'm saying? You get your food or whatever drinks, and see the show, see the poets, see what was going on. It was nice. I enjoyed it.
So I'll say this, Mark. I'll be like, so here's the thing. You can absolutely host your own show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And get maybe, and I'm not trying to like, it's not like an insult because this is numbers this is what happens all the time. All right. And have 10, 20, maybe 30 people come into the show, depending on how frequent it is. Right. Voices in Power, what they've done is every single one of the poets that's involved in them also have their own show. But they use the experience that they draft from being event hosts to like build a bigger platform.
Yeah.
And that's literally what I feel like we need in Jersey. And I waved the Cry Out Cave flag, but I always tell people that Cry Out Cave doesn't have to be the bigger platform, even though we've established some sort of a blueprint, right? I always tell people I'm not trying to make it about me, because Cry Out Cave is beyond me, it's not about me. And so that way we can even be the young lady that hosts the Philly show with me. She's part of the Voices in Power team.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about it is the fact that I just really I don't want to sound like I'm repeating the same thing over and over again, but I think you guys get the picture, especially because y'all not young. I need to repeat it over again for young people sometimes. But at the end of the day, like, yes, Vanguard Theater, it's not a small space either. When you do a show there, you got to make sure like you're looking at 100 people or so that's there. Right. I have my space, a Hot Ballroom downtown Newark, and I'm like close to downtown Newark. And I tell people, I was like, man, I wish we could have at least one show a month or bi-monthly that it requires everybody coming together at the Hot Ballroom that fills up this space with 100, 200 people. And it's brought to you by all the poets of New Jersey. We all get a space on the platform, but everybody's pushing to sell tickets or whatever to fill up that room. Because like I said, if each one of us, we do it the old school style, each person is like, oh, we're responsible for 10 people and 10 of us are performing on that stage.
That's 100. Yeah.
That's 100.
That's 100.
It's easy mathematics. And I'm a business. My background is business. So that's what I bring to the table. Right. I could sit down and be like, okay, this is make something that seems so complex easy to achieve.
Yeah, simplified. Yeah.
Definitely.
Noel, I know you know 10 people you could drag to a show. Mark, I know you know 10 people you could DM and be like, yo, I need you to pull up at this show. Here's the ticket, whatever. I know I definitely got 10, 20 people. Yep. And imagine how much more we are successfully if you're able to bring stuff like that together.
I said, let's go for it, bro. Let's go for it. I mean, let's get that conversation going, man.
All right.
I'm with it.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'm with it.
It's definitely possible.
I'm going to Linden tomorrow. Open mic up there in Linden. Verses and vibes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I'll be over there. What's his name? Mo Danger. He's gonna be one of the features.
Mo Danger is featuring there. Yeah. And I'll be at a cigar lounge tomorrow.
Okay.
As I don't even know the location of the cigar lounge right in this minute, but I'm featuring at a cigar lounge in I think East Orange.
Okay.
That's where I'll be at tomorrow. Yeah. So, but we definitely will continue this conversation
for sure.
Because that's my prayer, that's my vision. Beyond the cave to actually see us do some bigger platforms. I'm like, Voices in Power, no hate to them. They're not the only one that could get 100 room full of people, 200 room full of people.
Sure.
We have every potential to do what they're doing. We just need to do it together.
Just gotta bring it together.
Can't do it on his own.
Gotta bring it together. Right.
Very true.
All right, yo, I gotta roll, but yo, we definitely be in touch. All right, brother.
All right, brother.
Good job,
Thanks
man.
for coming
Good
through,
job.
Mark. Thank you, man.
Well, thanks,
Catch you later.
You got it, brother. Later.
All right, that's
think I've overstayed my welcome.
Nah, you good, man. We're gonna close out shortly, but I want to hit you with a couple of more questions. If you could collaborate with any poet, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Living or deceased. And it has to be a poet or artist.
It could be an artist.
Okay, so it would be. Are we going local or It don't
It,
matter. Any artist.
it could be anybody from anywhere.
Okay. Okay. So I it would definitely be. Oh, that's a tough choice. It would definitely be between. I'm gonna go with Music Soul Child. Music Soul Child. But the businessman in me. Now here's where I'll tell you I deal with the conflict. The
All right,
businessman in me will probably choose Alicia Keys. Bigger platform, more
right,
marketable.
right,
so
right,
it, so and the balance of the fact that female and male. So she come and sing a track or sing a song, and I drop my poem over it.
right,
So, but I love me some Music Soul Child. I love me some Alicia too, but I'll probably choose her. If we talking business.
right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, besides the event that you just mentioned, are there any other events or projects that you're participating in that you like to mention?
For sure, for sure, for sure. You know, the best thing is to definitely go on my page to stay because I mean I produce multiple shows monthly at the Cry Out Cave. So I did put together some of the shows that I have. I'm at the Brivago Cigar Lounge in
Mhm.
Orange, New Jersey tomorrow. I'm at the Release Open Mic in Philadelphia on the 25th on Friday.
Mhm.
And I'm at the Cry Out Cave on the 26th. Um, and for the Way Poets Play, which is produced by Craig Bradley. So which is not just a show, is a lot of things. Um, and then we have a part of a festival called Unity, the Unity Festival, Unity Fest, that's going on at the Cry Out Cave on the 3rd. It's going to be a combination of well-renowned poets like Paul Conqueso. Um,
Right.
and we have the Latin brand from Arts Eye School performing youth representing the youth. I'll be hosting. We have the former poet Loretta of Jersey City. Um, see, my brain and names after a certain time don't work well. Um, yeah, I can't. I'm blank with his name right now, but that's going to be going on. You're going to see more marketing by that. If you want to definitely get more information on all of that, you can find more information at Cry Out. I'm at Cry Out Cave or at Real Godsent on Instagram at Real Godsent. I don't market everywhere that I'm gonna be on the Cry Out Cave because, like I said, Cry Out Cave is bigger than me.
Right.
It's focused on the activities of the cave.
Right.
Meanwhile, my shows are focused on my movement, what I'm doing.
Right.
So yeah, those are the upcoming things that I do have.
Awesome, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. So before we close out tonight, there's just one more thing I want to do, and it's to say thank you. Thank you. Oh, Matt, my bad with the pick. That was the previous interview, Actress Barbour. But I want to say thank you to Godsent. Thank you, bro, for coming through. Awesome conversation. Definitely fire poetry. And you're right. You're totally 100% correct with posing that question. How can we come together to make things bigger than what they are. You are so correct on that. Definitely open to politicking with you at some point, sitting down, having more conversations about it, because it definitely can be done. And that's the one thing um you could say is lacking. There's a lack of unity. Where we're together but not together. You know what I mean? It's like we're sharing spaces, but we're not really coming together as a whole as we should be. The potential is there.
Right.
It's just all about the willingness, to put in the work to make it happen. But it's definitely possible. And I thank you for bringing up those points and for all that you shared tonight. Definitely much wisdom, powerful poetry, powerful creativity. So, thank you for blessing the mic and, you know, thank you for bringing those points up, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and we'll definitely connect soon. No doubt. Thank you.
All right.
At this time, I don't have any events on my calendar as of yet. But in the meantime, I encourage you all to stop by the Poets with Purpose website, poetswithpurpose.wordpress.com. And so be sure to subscribe for all the latest updates pertaining to Poets with Purpose. For more information about Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P Sessions podcast, I can be reached at 646-372-6230, or you can email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. All of my flyers and logos were designed by the excellent team at Eclipse Graphics. You can find them on Instagram at @SignedEclipseGraphicsNY, or you can go to their website, eclipsegraphicsny.com. Lastly, those of you wishing to make a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, Cash App, $Anointed Pen, or through Zelly, utilizing my phone number. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes episode 8 of season 4. This episode will be uploaded to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel within the next hour or so. So be on the lookout for that upload so you can then freely share the link on all of your social media channels. Godsent, peace and blessings. Thank you for coming through. Big thank you to
for
my
having me.
audience. Y'all have a good night and God bless. Thank you. Peace, man.